So someone posted on Facebook recently, and the post had a lot to do with Jesus and his blood and the idea that God only, accepts that, and that's it. It doesn't matter how good we are. It doesn't matter, I guess, how forgiving we are, et cetera, et cetera. And it got me thinking. This person, I commented under this post and I said basically all this talk about, blood, and the only accepting thing is blood by God. And I said, it sounds kind of evil. If you didn't know this story and you just came upon it, halfway through life, you'd probably push that story aside. And he replied with a question, something to the effect of, how do you define evil and how do you define truth? And I thought of a story, and I'm going to tell this story, and I'm going to relate it to something else that I just thought about. I told him, with regard to how I define evil, I understood, I believe where he was coming from was to try to get me to the point of saying you have to have some basis for your morality, and it comes from this book. But I told a story of watching somebody try to drown my mother when I was not even able to walk. I know that I wasn't able to walk because I remember having to pull myself up on it was in the kitchen, in a kitchen sink. And I remember this happening, and I remember having to pull myself up on the kitchen drawers and to hold myself up as I made my way. I crawled as close as I could get to him, pulled myself up on the drawers, took a few steps, latched onto his leg, and tried to bite and claw. I knew that what he was doing was wrong. What he was doing was evil. It was an evil act. And I hadn't been indoctrinated at that point to know that I was getting any kind of reward in heaven, or Jesus was going to love me better if I did it. All I knew was that I loved my mom and somebody was hurting her. So love, ultimately, which was already born within me at that age, caused me to act in a brave way, caused me to be courageous. And the interesting thing is this all kind of comes full circle, because I was thinking about the Garden of Eden and the idea that what was the fruit that Adam and Eve supposedly ate? If we're going to take the story literally, as so many people do. God creates Adam and Eve, and there's a tree in the midst of the garden, and it's the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It wasn't an apple. The story says it was the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And the serpent told them that they would surely become like God to know both good and evil if they ate from the tree. So the point is that they didn't even know the idea of good and evil before they ate of the fruit. So why didn't God forgive them? Why not just forgive them at that point? Right off when the Bible starts, the whole idea is don't go looking for what's good and for what's evil. The only thing that is good and evil is either to obey or disobey me. And, this is the same being that did not forgive them, even though they didn't know, because it says after they ate, after they ate of the fruit, they knew they were naked. They knew this, they knew that. So I just think it's interesting that so many people on this planet throughout time have followed this being, this character in a book that wouldn't even forgive its own creation, even though they didn't know that it was wrong to disobey in the first place. And there's never any reason given as to why it's wrong other than he said so. And this being, is the same being that goes on to demand blood sacrifice in order to forgive his creation throughout the entire story. Jesus was the final blood sacrifice. That's what we have to go on. That's what we're supposed to believe. And I think it's a dark, twisted tale if you interpret it literally. And to tie it back in with the idea that my own experience tells me I knew what was good and what was wrong, and what was good and bad, wrong. At a very early age, it made sense that dipping my mother's head into water was wrong, was evil, and I tried to do something about it, even though I couldn't. The interesting thing about this story, though, I felt hesitant, reluctant to share this story at all, except for the fact that it just proves my point here. Because I still know this person. And my mom forgave that person. And I believe I forgave that person. I've had good moments and good times with that person. She didn't stay married to him, but I've had good times with that person. As life has moved on. And I think it's interesting that if we're going to believe in a God, if we're going to believe in a creator, a source of all things that made us whatever it is we are, first of all, you can believe that it's a character in a book, or you can believe that whatever made us decided to step out of the picture, at least in physical form, to see how we were going to react. What are we going to do in a world we don't know, But the truth is that we do know. At that age, I did know. And as time has moved on, I have forgiven. And I didn't need a dead goat or a dead sheep or a dead man on a cross to forgive him. I didn't need any of that for that to happen, which tells me that forgiveness and love and knowing right from wrong and knowing what is true, those things all exist outside the idea of that book that says they can't. And I think more people should think about that. I'm telling you that I think the Bible's fucked up is not me telling you that I think there's no God. It's not me telling you that I think that you should stop looking for some kind of truth in life, because if you look at all my other videos, you realize that I've had a lot of strange experiences, and I have, I believe in the possibility of some really strange things because I've experienced some really strange things. But as far as the Bible is concerned, and that whole indoctrinating process, the thing that happens to so many, at a young age, and then so many more as they start searching for truth at, midway through life, because they're looking for something more, and they end up finding the most popular book, right? The greatest story ever told. It's the most popular book in the world, the Bible, in a way, at least in the world that I've grown up in. But it's really dark, and I think it's wrong. Sorry. I think Jesus had it right, but I think Jesus had it right only because he understood how dark that character that we call God in the Old Testament was, and set out to change all of his rules, which, if you pay attention to the New Testament, that's what he did. And again, I knew from an early age right from wrong. I knew how to act with bravery, and as time went on, I knew how to forgive. And all of it, the bravery, the truth, the forgiveness, it all stems from love, for the desire to forgive and to be loving and to get along, period. And I think that's all this video is about. It's kind of a reaction to, like I said, an interaction that I had with somebody recently But yeah, all the bloodshed, the blood sacrifice, if you believe that's necessary, suit yourself. But I don't think so. That's all. Only love.